Halito, and welcome to Native Chalk Talk, a podcast by natives for all. Here we're keeping our Native ancestors' stories and history alive, while also sharing with you our Native culture, traditions, and more. I'm Rachel Youngman, a Choctaw originally from Anadarko, Oklahoma. I hope you'll enjoy this journey with me as we learn from our Native American guests. And I hope you'll do me a favor. Feel free to like and share these episodes. I so appreciate it. Yakoke. This month is Women's History Month. And in the spirit of that, I wanted to give our female and male listeners a bit of inspiration. History may be in the past, but there are many women today who are truly history in the making. My guest today, Erin Pendleton, is Choctaw, and she's a post producer with Amazon Brand Social and does freelance work for IMDb and is a producer and photographer. Erin, welcome to Native Chalk Talk in this Women's History Month.
Halito, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Listeners, today we'll start out hearing about the amazing work Erin does in production and about her documentary, hopefully launching this year in 2024. And then we'll hear about her Choctaw family and the grandma who inspired her. Now, you live in California currently, but where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Arkansas. I grew up in Arkansas. However, my family is from Oklahoma, my mother and my father, and they're actually back in Oklahoma again. Yeah, mostly from Arkansas and Oklahoma.
So you've got that Okie running through your veins a little bit, right?
Oh, absolutely. Boomer sooner.
So you're the lead post producer for, again, Amazon, the largest multinational e-commerce company in the world. And the reason I want to highlight that is your success can be an inspiration for those who may be mapping out their careers at the moment. And to hear from another Native woman as well about how um, you found success can be encouraging for all of us. Tell us more about what you do and also how you worked hard into this position.
So post production, especially in social media, it's ever evolving, and that's something that I think that a lot of people they shoot for the stars and they think that they can't do it. We have a lot of imposter syndrome these days, and the enlightening thing right now is that we have so many things coming about. Everything is always changing. Social media was not a thing 20 years ago. Um,
True.
I mean, at least not as large as it is now, and now it is a multi-million dollar, industry, and so as we're moving into AI, as we're moving into all of these new tools, I'm getting to learn and utilize those things, and so for what I actually do for Amazon is anything you see on Amazon social media handles,
Okay.
for our original talent capture, I'm post-producing that. So I'm helping ideate, I'm helping put those videos together, I'm giving notes, I'm coordinating editors, I'm coordinating producers, and it's a big idea, it's a big grand scheme of things to come out with one little video that hopefully will entertain many. But getting there, I never wanted to be in this industry. I never thought I would be in this industry. And yeah, and I guess that's how it works a lot of times.
Right? So true.
But I ran with the things that I was good at, and, I feel like the Choctaw as people, we are very talented people, we are innovative,
Yeah.
we are willing to jump in, and I think the willingness alone is what got me where I am today.
That's amazing. And you mentioned AI. I think it's a great opportunity for many Native Americans to go into the tech field. I'm in software sales, you're in tech in some capacities, and really anything we can learn about robotics, AI, what other thing, chat GPT, all of those things. There's a whole world out there waiting for talent in those areas. When you're working with AI, what does that typically look like in your job?
And so for Amazon, we don't really work with AI whatsoever. We have a team of creatives, and that's what makes it very special. But in my other marketing jobs and being a producer and having to come up with pitches, sometimes you use AI for pitches. They now have
Ah,
an infograph infographic website that you can use. I haven't used it yet, but I'm wanting to because all of these things that can help us take our talents and the things we like to do and spend more time doing that, we can
Yeah.
alleviate those other things off of ourselves. But they make infographics now, and you can just type in, hey, this is the information I want, and it will come up with pitch decks. It will come up with flyers, literally anything that you want. So in my day to day with Amazon and IMDb, I'm definitely not using AI. We have a great team on each side. And then everywhere else, I'm using it as much as I can. It on those days that you're just not clicking and you're not like, I need better work.
Yes.
Yeah, I need
Like, I
better
need
work.
more than a thesaurus here, okay?
Yes. And on that, I use it daily. I use it on my resume. There for a while, I didn't have a lot of work, and putting my resume into AI really helped me. Um, yeah, it's just really helpful to be able to know how to use it and to know when to use it and when not.
Absolutely, and there are free resources out there, right?
Absolutely. Most of the resources that I do use are free. Um, if we go down the resume lane, it's really easy. You just copy and paste a resume and then, or a job posting, and then you copy and paste your resume in there and you say, make me sound how I'm supposed to sound with what I actually have, not lying about anything, but with what I actually have.
Right.
And it marries together and it gets into the system because a lot of times people are getting kicked out of systems just because they don't have the right keywords.
When you've got 1,000 things on your plate, this can be such a big helper for those of us who are constantly writing. And I really need to tap into it more. The funny thing is stopping the merry-go-round long enough to go, oh, here's something that will actually save me time, which is kind of ironic. And I love that you do freelance work. Listeners, there usually isn't a fast way to make money. Hard work over time and being strategic, such as AI, ChatGPT, and all that, in everything you do is crucial. And I love, Erin, also that with all you do, you must work a lot of hours, and I relate to that. Tell us more about what you do in that freelance work for IMDb.
So for IMDb, the Internet Movie Database that a lot of people know about, that is where actors are putting up their profiles, where you can go check out actors and movie titles, show titles, see everyone who worked on it. And IMDb also came out with IMDb Pro, and they are connecting people. So I know Oklahoma has become a very big hub for film. This is where some people who are putting together their crews can find the right crew, who they worked with before. And so
Right.
IMDb puts out original content, and for that original content, I actually have the pleasure of QCing, so quality control, making sure everything is right, and these videos are going on the website and going on social media. And so I work under producers, and I'm basically the last catch to make sure that everything is right.
That's wonderful. So, question for you. Can anyone create their own IMDb profile?
Yes, anyone can make their own IMDb or IMDb Pro profile for free. There obviously is a premium version. However,
Yeah,
it is one of those tools that we were discussing that can be free and be a great help. It's for actors, anyone in front of, behind the camera, and it's just a way to find your people.
fantastic. I would imagine in your roles, you must have to meet a lot of deadlines and work with a lot of departments. Tell us about that.
Yes, I work with a lot of cross-functional teams. For IMDb, I do get to work with just a maybe 2 teams, editors and producers, and then for Amazon, we work with PR, social influencers, title teams, brand teams. There's lots of red tape when getting things reviewed and approved. And so going through all of that, and then some of the deadlines we have to meet, I actually have to set quite a few of those myself,
I
leading the team.
bet.
Yeah, and so we're
Uh-huh.
looking at a big picture of when all of our shows are launching, when all of our movies are launching, staying on campaign with our campaign managers. And so it's a lot of cross-functional teams. There are a lot of people, a lot of different personalities, but that's also what makes it wonderful is that you're not working with the same person all the time. You're not working with the same kind.
Ah,
Lots of hours, lots of deadlines, and luckily enough, my team is so wonderful. They're so gracious of everyone's personal time, making sure we have work-life balance. Since I am a contractor for them, today I have the day off with them, and they were like, "Absolutely, do not come to work. Do not do it. We're not off work, but take your time."
oh,
And
that's nice. Yes.
And it's a family first approach. Anytime anyone has anything going on, they absolutely know, "We're not curing any cancers. We're not doing brain surgery. We are creating other entertainment pieces on social media," and they approach it as such.
Nice. And I mean, there's got to be stressful parts of your job. What would you say are the most stressful things?
Some days I make my job, I have to reiterate that. I make my jobs stressful sometimes because I am yeah, I am a perfectionist, which I'm sure you are as well.
Oh,
And
totally.
and so doing that overall, it's really not too stressful. It's just a lot. There are a lot of moving pieces and keeping track of everything with everybody. That's probably the stress in it, is making sure that you've checked off everything.
I think this is important too, that it's easy to look at people's success and not realize how stressful and hard and time consuming it can be. So kudos to you. I know we all have struggles as women in our careers. What are some of the harder times you've had along the way?
That's a great question, and I'm so glad you brought it up because I do think a lot of people see the success. It's just like social media, and I'm working in social media all of the time. You get to
Right.
see everyone's highlight reel. You didn't see
Yeah.
necessarily their struggles.
Mm.
We had the writer strike, and then we had I think it was the producer strike last year. Both of those happening at the same time affected my job, as well as so I was previously working for Amazon as well, and they went through a massive layoff,
Mm.
massive layoff. And from there, um, I've been homeless, I've been jobless, um, I've had a lot of kind people extend their homes to me, helping to
Oh,
get me work, one-off type things, but it's been a very long way coming here. I've done free work, I've done lots of you do test work, especially being a
right.
producer or a photographer, you're like, "I'll do that." You may or may not get paid, and I definitely don't suggest for people to do a lot of that work, but
Sure.
sometimes to get the experience that you need, it's definitely needed.
And maybe that foot in the door, because sometimes you're like, hey, I'm going to do this favor here. Hopefully it'll come back to me. If not, at least I learned something.
Exactly, and in doing things like that, I have learned that if it's something that you want to do, don't extend yourself. Overall, if it's not something you wanna do, don't extend yourself because you don't have any return at all, whereas what you're saying, it may pay off, but there's no payoff if you don't like it.
So true. Are there examples in your journey where you'd say other women supported you along the way?
I have to give a shameless plug here. I got many of my jobs in LA from a women in film Facebook group,
Oh, how
and
neat.
yeah, just women supporting women and trying to get more women in the industry. Absolutely. Michelle Wilrich has given me a lot of my freelance work whenever I've gotten to go interview Reverend Al Sharpton, um, Kevin Hart. There have been lots of people, and Michelle Wilrich is an advocate for women, minorities, just outstanding professionals in general. Um, I have to say a lot of my success has been because of her and also those groups. Connect with those groups. You got to get in where you fit in. Search yourself, find who you are, and go find those people. There are people that are willing to work with you and for you.
That's fantastic. And how proud am I that you're from Arkansas and Oklahoma and you're out there in LA doing these really cool things right now.
Thank you. It's very fun.
I bet it is. Keep going.
Yes.
I also noticed Ninja Toaster Productions on your list of things that you do. First off, love the name. Tell us about Ninja Toaster Productions and what you do there.
So, Ninja Toaster Productions is where I kind of got my start in social media. And honestly, I never thought I would be in social media right now because I got a swift kick to the chest.
Hmm.
It was around COVID. I had gotten a job in social media. I went over to the Bahamas whenever they had Hurricane Dorian, and I was helping film over there and getting the word out over social media and doing press releases. And as a person who wasn't in the industry yet, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wanted to go physically help. I wanted to pick up trash. I wanted to do whatever I could. And on the
Yeah.
back end, We actually did start coordinating, rescue teams and people coming over to the United States who no longer had a home, and that was very fulfilling, but at the same time, I didn't understand the need for media and social media. I thought it was all just crap. I thought it was a time suck, and then I started
Mm.
realizing how much getting that word out is so necessary, and I started feeling more of a duty and feeling more fulfilled that way. So, Ninja Toaster Productions is where I got my start on probably almost anything I've done in the industry. And so, I was doing social media for a few companies, freelancing with them, and then COVID hit and we lost those contracts because they weren't needed. And going from there, I was able to work with the owner, Jason Auerbach, and he literally taught me everything that I could just soak up. I'm one of those people, I'm going to ask the questions. I want to know how everything works. So, in the grand scheme of things, it's been really great because I've been everything from a PA to an executive producer. And matter of fact, on one of our latest films that we've worked on, which was Su Yi, it's in the Blackfeet native language. And I am a PA and an executive producer on that title. And it just shows
That's
you, it's
great.
very, yeah, it's just humbling because a lot of times, people go, I'm an EP. I can't do that kind of work. And what Ninja Toaster Productions has taught me is that we're going to do what we need to get it done. We're going to get it done. It's going to look hot and we're going to have a good
Mhm.
time.
Right, the end result is the most important thing, and it's all about teamwork in the whole scheme of things anyway, right?
Yes, exactly.
So speaking of some of the work that you've done, I'm just fascinated by all of it. You've even done filming for pilots for Discovery Channel, right?
Correct. Yes. Sometimes shows don't always get off the ground, but
Sure.
work is work. And you do get to see a little bit inside of it was one of my first times getting to see inside of how pitching a show works and how those go along. And you think that you need this big crew. And honestly, the couple of times that I've done it, it's been myself, another shooter, and then maybe a producer, or maybe it's
Really?
a two-man crew. A lot of things that I've done have been very skeleton crew, and it's
Yeah.
surprising because these are for big networks.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that too. Interesting. Little inside scoop there. What
Yeah.
other interesting inside scoop pieces do you have for us of what that looks like in that world?
Let me think. So I mean, everything's really changing because we have streamers now. And what I've noticed in Oklahoma a lot is that people are pitching ideas for shows or movies, and a lot of people expect it just to get paid for and to get done. And what a lot of people don't know is that you can go ahead and get this funded by yourself. I love all of Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. They have a ton of resources. There are tons of resources out there just on film in general.
Great.
Um, and you can get these things put up on your own. And Ninja Toaster Productions actually does distribution, and we take on those projects. We don't pay for them. We do brand integration, which a lot of people don't understand how much money is there also. And that's literally brand saying, it's like Nike saying, "Hey, we've got $25,000 if you can get this in your production."
Right.
And there's so many different ways. There's what I think a lot of people think is that there is a production bible and this is how you do it. And especially in this day and time with the different outlets for streaming, you can make up your own way. You can figure it out. You can blend the old with the new, and the possibilities are endless.
I love this, and I know that we've had this just surge of talent come from Oklahoma, and it's always been there. It's just that it hasn't always been highlighted, or it's only been highlighted within the state, and now it seems like the rest of the nation's taking note. So these are good bits of information. Go to your tribe, see if there's help that you can get to, I guess, would you say fund on your own?
Yeah, self-funding or, I have seen actually quite a bit for Choctaw and for Native Americans that anything that has to do with art, getting that art out there, whether it's physical art, digital art, production, we have the resources, you just gotta look for them.
What notable people have you worked with and for?
Oh my. So, Michelle Wilrich, who we referenced earlier, who has been a phenomenal woman in my life that has gotten me work. We have done work for Byron Allen, who is the owner of the Weather Channel, and he came out with his own award show called the Griot Awards. And so I've gotten to film for that, as well as Byron Allen presents the music Music Superfest, and amazing talent all over the place, and then on top of that, I've also gotten to film for the NAACP awards, and
So
so I've
neat.
I've gotten to film Black designers and interview them, and their work is amazing. Most recently, Cedric the Entertainer, Kevin Hart at his, studio, let's see here. I think one of my favorites was getting to be at the concert and getting to see, everything being set up because we're sitting there during rehearsals, and you get to see rehearsals, and all of my childhood dreams were fulfilled because in one concert was Tony Braxton, Boys to Men, and Earth, Wind& and Fire, and I honestly had no idea
Mhm.
how many Earth, Wind& and Fire songs I knew, and I just got to rock out. I got to see it several
Oh,
times. It's great. Oh, and then most recently, on my previous contract with Amazon, they actually sent me to London for our world tour for the show called Citadel, and so I was involved in shooting and on the red carpet. There was Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Richard Madden, Stanley Tucci, the whole cast, many others. They also sent me to New York Comic Con, just all of these wonderful experiences that I would have never dreamed would ever happen.
amazing. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the red carpet. I noticed that on your resume. I think for me, I would be totally intimidated.
We'll be back after this quick break. Are you looking for the perfect gift for your significant other, your bestie, or even yourself? You know you're worth it. Luxury soaps, lotions, and lip balms from Baker's Bar Soapery are 100% Choctaw crafted, and they make the perfect gifts. This work of art is their signature turquoise soap, and it's made to look like Sleeping Beauty turquoise. Do you see this gold veining throughout? And the gold marbling on top? Love it. Next, check out this apple mint custom fragrance oil soap called Say Their Name. And all proceeds go to the missing murdered Indigenous women Choctaw cause. You'll only find this blend made specifically for this soap. And yes, these are made with goat's milk, which leaves your skin feeling soft and supple. So load up on these Choctaw soaps made by Tiffany at Baker's Bar Soapery at thebbsoapery.com. But be sure to get 20% off when you use the code NATIVECHOCTAW, that's all caps, when you spend $25 or more. Treat yourself to the luxury your skin deserves with Baker's Bar Soapery.
Is it intimidating?
It was so intimidating. I wasn't even supposed to be on the red carpet. I was in my what we call production blacks. So, if you
Okay.
don't know about production blacks are so you blend in case there's anything going on. In order to get the crew not on camera, they wear production blacks.
Ah,
So
okay.
I was wearing all black, and a lot of times on those social junkets and red carpets, everyone's very pretty. So you can, catch the people's eyes and they're ready to come talk to you. I'm in my production blacks, but I had brought a better camera and a better setup than anybody. And they took one
Ah,
look and they go, "You're going on the red carpet."
that's amazing.
I was
Well,
sweaty
you're
the
just as
whole
beautiful
time.
as those other people too. But see, that's so good to hear, that even you get, a little bit nervous, and
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
okay.
And for me, it's not as much the talent usually. It's knowing who you're working for and having that perfectionism in your blood and going, "If I don't hit
Yeah.
the right thing, I could screw all of this up."
Now, you and your partner started a documentary on MMIP, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So missing murdered Indigenous people. Um, Tell us about that documentary and when is it going to come out?
So we're still in production, and just like anyone else, we are looking for funding. We have several interviews already filmed. We were lucky enough to get to film with the Choctaw chapter in at the Choctaw Nation. Carissa Hodges she put it all together. She found
Yeah.
people who had stories that need to get their stories out, and that's why it's so dear to our hearts to get these stories out. It is a very big issue, but overall, some of these people may never have that closure, and a
Yeah.
lot of times never do get that closure.
That's what's so heartbreaking about that situation, but also can you imagine the people like Carissa and her team that are constantly helping, these families and the victims? Like you said, the not having closure part would be awful. Or if the closure's not a good news, would you seriously wish that you could go back to not having that closure at all? There's like no winning with those situations oftentimes. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Kiowa chapter of MMIP. Fawn Sotok has been on our show, and Carissa, and those ladies are doing great work.
So in my own experiences, I was actually raped twice. It was not on the reservation. It did not have anything to do with that similar kind of thing. But whenever I didn't get to face justice, justice was never served, and it was something that led me to go work at the YWCA of Oklahoma City, where I became a trained certified rape advocate. And so my heart's always been open to that. And then whenever we got to work on films on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana, we started seeing how much of a disconnect there was, which was also at the same time that everything has started going on with the governor in Oklahoma and what he's doing there with tribal land. And there's a really big disconnect. It seems like we were the original people, we're inviting people, we're accommodating people, and it's just taking a little bit longer for everybody to find something that suits all of our cultures and the rapid growth we're experiencing as a nation.
Definitely, there's been a lot of change and a lot of good change. Thank you for sharing your story, and I can understand now why you have even more passion about creating that documentary and really digging in. Oh, so hard to hear that, isn't it? And this being Women's History Month, unfortunately, that is part of the history that many of us have faced. Just thinking of all women who have gone through hard times and are thriving and, striving for greatness in everything they do, and you're a great example of that.
Thank you. So, following along with Women's History Month, and hopefully I can highlight how this can be brought into a good light, but not just Native American women. 1 in 3 women in the US every year are assaulted. So we take a look at our closest people, and 1 in 3. Once you take that to Native American women, it becomes even higher. And the last stat that I checked was the third leading cause of Native American women's death is by violence, by from one of these things. So it's some kind of abuse and neglect. However, this is where I want to take it though. Coming from a marketing standpoint, over 80% of sales are driven by women and women making decisions in the household, whether they are not the person making the money or not.
Really?
So we have resilience, we have power in one way or another, and we're literally the main focus of spending money and being that target. So we have a lot more power than we even know. I like to look at these stats and not go, "Oh no, this is bad. I need to hide." It's, "No, I have power and I can make things happen."
Absolutely. Well said.
Thank
The
you.
stats are just staggering, completely staggering.
Yes. Oh, but
Mm.
going from the Blackfeet and, where got to learn some of these things, that is where the film Suyi was done, and it was absolutely beautiful in Montana. It was a beautiful Montana summer on the reservation, and, that is also where it was Stormy Kipp's first feature film. It might have been the first thing he ever acted in as well, and then it was
Wow.
yeah, so it was very great to see him in Prey, which is one of the Predator movies, and he was in that as well.
Such a good movie. I loved it. Did you love it?
Oh, it was great. I hadn't really paid much attention to the other ones, and then when I saw that, I was like, "I can get with this one."
The first one came out, like, in the '80s or something, right?
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
What other folks are in that?
The leading actress, her name is Cheyenne, and she is also in LA, and she is Hualapai. And what's really great is that she's very involved in her reservation and the family over there, and her mother is out there making homesteads that are blending new and old technology, and
Oh.
they're also trying to get crops in and just trying to be sustainable on, the reservation out at Hualapai.
Shout out to her as well then.
Absolutely. Oh, and
So
then her brother was in Twilight. He's been in a lot of other things, but, like, the whole
oh,
family is just very talented.
yeah. My goodness. They're all doing something out there.
Oh, yeah.
So how did you learn these production skills? Did you study them in college or are you self-taught?
So I went to school for allied health sciences. I wanted to be a doctor. And then whenever I thought, oh wow, that's gonna be expensive and hard, I was like, I'll just be a nurse anesthetist. That'll which like that's easy or anything.
Right.
So my degree is in allied health sciences. I went to Southwestern Oklahoma State University where I played basketball on scholarship out in Weatherford, Oklahoma.
I actually
Um,
went there my first 3 years of college.
did you?
Yes.
My minor is Spanish, so I did not have I can't say I didn't have the skills for it because a lot of the skills that are in production, a lot of people have, and they're just downplaying their own skills.
Huh.
Um, I'm highly organized. I like having a bird's eye view. I like knowing what's going on. And the more you get comfortable with things, the more you can allow your true colors and your talents to shine. And it was just me getting comfortable letting all of these things shine.
That's and, there's gotta be some confidence within you that made you go ahead and take these leaps and do what you did, what you've done, even though you've been nervous at times, like on the red carpet, but you did it anyway, and I think that that's a good lesson for all of us, right?
Oh,
Especially young Native women. Just do it afraid. You don't have to wait until you're not afraid.
and on that note too, I don't know how many times, especially in the past few weeks, that I've heard, "Oh, well, we're just making it up as we go along." And it's not to
Mm,
say that we don't know what we're doing. It's just that everything is changing and there is enough room for everybody. And we're definitely coming into a time where we're trying to get the perspectives of everybody because once we can all work together, that's how it's really going to shine. And if we have people downplaying themselves, belittling themselves, being in environments where they allow people to talk to themselves that way or talking to yourself that way on a daily basis, it's going to be really hard to get there.
and I do that all the time. I do that to myself, and I second guess myself, and sometimes I look at the work I do and I go, "That was pretty damn good. Why was I doubting myself?" And other times I'm like, "I need to brush up on those skills."
It's just losing that ego because I think a lot of times we don't give what we have. It'll be done. It'll be done on time. It will be our best. And we, it's your ego saying this isn't good enough. It's your ego saying, you know,
Oh,
and not allowing people to give you feedback. So that's the other thing that I've had to be very humbled in my work. Because a lot of times when you're a
oh,
freelancer, they're not asking what you want. They're asking
right.
for what they want, how you think you should do it, and then you may have to scrap all of it. So it's just coming to the
Yes,
table with no ego.
with no ego. Interesting. So you and I have talked about all these things you do and how you have to manage your time. It's so important to compartmentalize the different jobs, but also you mentioned you got to drink water. You got to make sure you get up and walk around because I think I'm like you. I do a ton of sitting at my laptop or sometimes I'm at my treadmill desk, working while I'm walking, but sometimes you just can't. You have to sit down and really concentrate on what you're doing. But there was another thing that you're doing that I didn't know about. Tell us about it.
So I'm in a program that is the Cal Poly Pomona Executive Women in Leadership Program. I'm actually an advisor on it. It was by invite only. And that is where I'm getting to work with other women in leadership to cultivate this program where it's at already and then mentor other women coming up as well. And that is in all industries. That's anywhere from healthcare to marketing to you name it. It is literally just women in executive positions.
That's fantastic, and maybe you'll take me on as a client someday.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I need some inspiration sometimes.
We got it.
So, by the way, if anyone wants to utilize your services, how would they find you?
I am on social media. I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I also have my Gmail, erinaberra at gmail.com. I'll definitely will provide all of these, but I don't have a website anymore. I've gotten so busy that I used to be a health coach and a vibrance coach, and I helped people plan out their day and how to make things healthier for themselves. And I had to shut my website down because I got too busy.
Isn't that amazing? That's a good
Oh,
problem to
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to share, those pieces of social media that you have with our listeners in case they want to utilize your good work. Again, it sounds like there might be a wait list. So thanks for sharing about your hard work and the success you've found over time. And I'm sure we'll see much more of your good work. Now, of course, we're going to want to hear the stories and history of your Choctaw family. I can't help but ask. So, you have a cousin that did a lot of work on your ancestry, from what I understand. So, shout out to your cousin and to the people in our families who spend years being the family history gatherers. But what was discovered about your family? Let's start with your grandma. What was she like?
So my grandma was the oldest of about 13 or 14 out in
Wow.
Wink, Oklahoma. They did not have it was a dirt floor. They did not have indoor plumbing. Since we spoke last time, I actually talked to my dad. It was his birthday recently, and so we got to have a 2-hour conversation to brush up on family history.
Good.
And grandma was the oldest of 14 in a two-bedroom house. One bedroom was for the boys, one bedroom was for the girls, and mom and dad had their bed in the living room.
What? And they made a lot of children.
They made a lot of children. They all went to church. My grandma was very diligent about making sure that everyone was minding their P's and Q's and doing that. But my grandma, I feel like Choctaw women are very independent and can be
Yes.
leaders where needed. And my grandma, I think her last job was for Southwestern Bell, to where she got a great pension because she worked there for so long. But
Aw.
she had 3 sons, 2 of which are still alive, lots of grandkids. She was always involved. I did not have one birthday that I did not get a birthday card from my grandma with a Bible
Aw.
scripture.
And she
Yes.
passed away when?
It was February 2021.
Okay, I'm sure you miss her so much.
Oh, absolutely. She was a quiet from when we last spoke, I felt like I wasn't raised Choctaw. I wasn't raised Native. So anything that my grandma did, I was just like, "Oh, that's Native." And
Mhm.
I connected with your story quite a bit because my grandma did keep to herself quite a bit,
Yeah.
and she was a quiet woman, um, very moralistic. She had a lot of morals that she stuck to. Um, until the day she died, until the doctor said
Aw.
that you can't go anywhere. She went to her church faithfully and volunteered, was in, groups there, very community driven, and I feel like that is something that comes from our culture is just driving that community.
Isn't that the truth, though? She sounds like such a good woman, and, it's those grandmas that really kind of, again, being that this is Women's History Month, I think of the grandmas who, when we come into their lives, they're older and we're like, "Oh, grandma, what does she know?" But they're so packed with wisdom, and once you get to the age when you do realize how wise they actually can be, in most cases, they're just so precious, and I hope that this will be a word to everyone out there that still is lucky enough to have their grandma around. Ask them questions, sit and talk to them, ask what their life was like, ask if they have words of wisdom for you, since they know you probably the best, right? You once told me about how close your family was, that you'd play games and you'd eat the canned foods she'd prepare, and it sounds like she was really like the hub of your family for all the gatherings. Tell us more about that.
I've been very fortunate that on both of my sides, because I started as I got older, I realized how many people have divorced parents. My parents are still together. They got married in 1980.
Oh.
Um, and my grandma and my granny, they lived in Oklahoma and we lived in Arkansas, and they would drive together. And I started realizing that not every family has that luxury that I got Christmases with both sides of the family all together. I got
So
Thanksgivings
true.
all together. Grandma hosted everybody. And she wasn't the bacon cookies type. She definitely we played games all of the time. Um, walked and picked up cans out at the Midwest City, what's it called? The park. We would go to the park and walk for hours picking up cans, and I didn't really realize until I was older that, oh, wow, we maybe didn't have a lot of money because, like, some of the fun things we did was, like, we had this little crusher and we smashed cans, and we were like, "Yes, we get to smash cans."
This is so much fun. We should do this all the time. But that
Yeah.
was really kinda helping fund the family.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not, like, in a big way, but it was something
Sure.
to do, and it was all of us together, and any time with grandma, it was all of us together. We did not leave without taking a huge family photo. She would sit there, and she would go, "And this is your great uncle so and so, so and so's husbands, brothers, naming just off every single person to where you're like, I'm never gonna remember any of this. But you got the pictures, you got the visual every time, and she would go to those family gatherings even if we couldn't make it and go, "Aunt so and so said hi," and all of these
Oh,
people, and she's so very on it.
you had mentioned to me last time we talked that she didn't have much, but she loved her family all the way, and it sounds like y'all spent a lot of time together, but what else can you tell us about your ancestors?
So my ancestors, so I had a great call with my father, and I do remember this from looking at the family tree that my cousin had made. Not very many levels away from myself, we have a LaFleur.
Mm.
I was always told that one of my great grandfathers was not necessarily a chief, but was very high in society and all of those things. And there were a couple of male leaders in my family that had a ton of money, a ton of influence. And I guess their MO was to have that, and their family didn't have a lot. And so I
Aw.
think that's where a lot of the family togetherness has come, because no matter what we've had or not had, we've always had our family. We've always had the togetherness. And for myself, I didn't realize how many people don't have that, because the peace in myself, if I ever have an out with a friend, an out with a company, anything that feels negative or like that would change someone's life all the way around, I've always been very secure in the fact that I have my family.
Oh, yeah, that foundation.
Absolutely. But yes,
Mhm.
we have all been hard workers. We've migrated over here from Mississippi on the Trail of Tears. My great grandma used to tell my mom stories about coming over. And honestly, I haven't heard a lot of stories, but the overall countenance and the overall tone of everything was never sad. This is what I've loved that I've picked up from my family, is that a lot of these things that when people hear them, they go, "Oh my God, that's terrible."
Mhm.
Or "That's so sad." And no one has ever seemed sad. Everyone's whole MO is, "Well, things happen to everybody. This happened to us. You gotta keep making your
That's
life."
the Choctaw way, right? Strength and looking forward, and I mean, people acknowledge what has happened, but it's that forward thinking that, "Okay, we're in this new place now. We gotta figure this out, y'all. Let's build a government, let's build schools, let's build churches." That's amazing. So your family, that gives me goosebumps, the whole, like, just that positivity and not focusing on the harder parts of all that.
Exactly. Talking about the people who don't wanna highlight the positive with the negative,
Yeah.
I've always been a silver lining person, and I feel like I've been kinda brought down from time to time, because there are a lot of people that whenever they're going through transgressions, when they're going through hard times, people don't wanna hear, "But look on the bright side." But the
Mhm.
thing is that we can always keep in mind is science. And science
Mm.
reiterates that you will not have good times without bad times. You will not have a rainbow without the rain. And
So true,
so
girl. So true.
anyone trying to negate the fact that there are good things that came out of this are trying to shy away from science. There is a depression a lot of times is caused from those repeated thoughts, and you can't get out of them. And so a lot of times what I would urge my clients to do is go, "Okay, you want to be there, let me meet you there. Tell me the worst thing that could happen, and then tell me how
Right.
you're going to feel." Okay, once you start thinking about the worst thing that could happen, how it's going to feel, what's going to happen, you start getting more comfortable, and they can start putting that away to where, okay, now where do you
Interesting.
want to be? What does that feel like? And focusing on that.
So good. So thanks for sharing about your ancestors and your grandma, who sounds like she was so sweet. I've been inspired by the work you do and your story, and I'm sure others are too. Are there any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I think in the day and age that we are in right now, as we spoke previously, I do believe this is the year of the native. However, keeping in mind minorities, different groups, these are ways for us to find home and be comfortable. And if we don't have a home, if we don't have people we can be comfortable with, it's a nice way to find other people. In the grand scheme of that, we have to remember not to separate ourselves from other people because we all live on the same land and we're all learning to live on the same land together. So while we are finding our strengths, our weaknesses, the things that make us special, we also have to make sure that that is shining through and we're not separating other people and that we're still leaving space for literally everybody. And then also to never downplay yourself. Always find what your strengths, what makes you happy, and run with it. Because as you said, there's no person that is an end all be all for you. You are your end all be all, and you get to create this life. And whenever we get to open our eyes and find that inspiration of creating our own lives, that's literally your only judgment of good, bad, things that happen. We get to create this life. And when we do, we take charge and create, it becomes so much more fun, beautiful, and loving.
So well said. I absolutely love that. I'm taking it to heart, and I'm sure my listeners are as well. And for all the women listening today, both Native American and otherwise, Erin and I wish you a month of inspiration and encouragement, and of doing the same for other women as well. You are history in the making. So do your ancestors proud, and don't forget to give yourselves a pat on the back along the way, too. Yakoke, Erin.
Yakoke.
Thanks for listening to Native Chalk Talk. Be sure to join our community on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and check us out at nativechalktalk.com. Stay tuned for the next episode. You're going to love it. Yakoke. Thank you, my friends.